You physically can do nothing to change who you are. No matter how much you try and change around you, no matter how much you try and change your external reality, the things around you, the people around you, the achievements that you have, everything you're doing, it will not change how you feel about you until you make the choice to change your internal. See, our external is a reflection of our internal. Everything we think, everything we feel, the beliefs that we have, everything that's going on inside of us is reflected externally, and we're gonna break that down. But no matter how much we change externally, it will not work the other way around. No matter how many achievements you get, if you feel as though you are a loser, no matter how much you win, that feeling will not go away until you change your internal beliefs and your thoughts. And so, how can we break this down? Well, I want to show you the mirror principle. The mirror principle explains all of this for us, and the fact that everything that happens externally is just on the physical plane of reality. No matter how much you try and change the reflection, which is everything around you, it will not change the image. You are the image. How you feel about yourself, what you think about yourself, and your views on yourself are your image. And your image is just reflected onto reality, which is everything around us. See, now so many people, when they want to make change, when they want to do something with their life, they try and move the mirror. All they're doing is they're trying to shift it back and forth and changing the way the reflection looks. But as you know, no matter how much you change the mirror, the image will not change. It will not change who you are. Until we take a step further and we look at the metaphysical or our internal, then we can actually begin to impact the image, which will then make permanent reflections and permanent changes on the external. See, everything on the metaphysical is our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, and basically our perspective on everything that's going on around us. How your internal reacts to everything physically, everything outside of yourself, will determine how your external is. But until we take a look at these different things, until we take a look at our thoughts about the situations around us, our feelings, how we feel when certain situations arise, where we feel resistance and where we feel flow, and our beliefs about the world, beliefs about how things should happen, our beliefs about ourselves. Until we take looks at these, we will not be able to change the image. Because no matter how much you shift around the reflection, it will not change the image. Now you may be saying, well, if I go and win something like a tournament or I go and win some award, wouldn't that then change how I feel about myself? Well, all you're doing is creating new evidence for yourself to focus your internal on. See, when you say, for example, win an award, you get a promotion at work, and you think that should then make you happier, well, it only makes you happier if it changes your beliefs about yourself, which is still internal. See, no matter how much we try and change everything around us, until we shift our focus on the evidence that we base our beliefs off of, the feelings that we choose to have, and the thoughts that are going to empower us and make us live a better life, we will continue to live in this plane of suffering, trying to adjust the physical. We must shift to the metaphysical and actually understand how the mirror works, aka just the universe, so that we can then begin to make lasting change that will actually impact our internal. And so, I want to break down the 7 mirror principles for you guys so you can learn everything about how this all works and the lessons that you need to know to make lasting impact. And so, let's dive into mirror principle number 1. So, mirror principle number 1, the world is like a mirror that reflects your relationship to it. Essentially, all that this means is your relationship to the world, aka everything external to you, is a reflection of your internal. And to explain this, I want to use an example. And so, we're going to go based off of 2 beliefs that people could have. Now, if you aren't familiar with beliefs, beliefs are essentially anything that you hold to be true. See, one person, aka person 1 in this example, holds the belief about the world that things always go wrong, whereas person 2 is going to hold the belief that things always go right. Now, you have this choice. This is simply a belief you hold internally that some of us don't even realize that we hold. See now, I was once both of these persons. I once was person 1, to where anything could go wrong and it would upset me. It would make me feel like crap, yet I always thought things would go wrong. I expected them to, and so things did go wrong. But now I'm more like person 2, to where I believe things always go right. And in believing so, things always do go right. So let's have an example of these two. Say, for example, both person 1 and person 2 are driving their car and somebody cuts in front of them. See, now person 1 is going to use this belief to confirm that they are right. See, we must understand the brain always wants to be right. It's never going to want you to be wrong. And so, when you have a belief that it can then confirm through something external to you, it is going to do so. And so because we have the internal belief that things always go wrong, we're then going to get upset and get angry that things are going wrong. And we're just confirming it. Secretly, person 1 really enjoys when things go wrong because it confirms his beliefs. But the same is true for person 2. When person 2 believes things should always go right and somebody cuts in front of him, he doesn't mind. He's actually really happy. Because he's happy that person is getting where they need to go. Maybe they're going to see someone they really need to see. Maybe they're rushing to the hospital. Maybe they're just late to getting to work. Person 2 understands that things always go right, that God's timing is perfect, that everything is happening for a reason. And so through holding these beliefs, person 2 lives a life of joy. Person 2 understands that, my beliefs shape my external world. And so I have the choice. Do I want to believe everything is going to go right for me? Or do I want to believe everything is going to go wrong and then live a life full of suffering? Because that is the choice. It is the choice of you to choose what your internal state is, what you want to believe, and then your external will simply reflect that. See, in both of these situations, the same thing has happened. Nothing essentially has gone wrong, but nothing also has essentially gone right. Both of these it's a very neutral situation, but in having a belief that does not serve you, person 1 has now made their day worse and lowered their energy, whereas person 2 has now raised their energy simply based off of one single belief. And this situation can unfold over and over and over again. Whatever internal belief that you have, that you believe to be true about the world, will simply reflect externally. Another one, for example, say you came upon an amount of money. Something just came, you found $100 on the street. If you think things always go wrong, person 1, even though they just made money, might be scared. Might be scared that now they have this money, they need to figure out what to spend it on. And oh my God, now everybody else is going to want to hear about it. So they have to tell everybody and all these other, whoa, they just found $100. And you might think this is ridiculous, but this is how people live. They live constantly finding reasons to be annoyed even when a blessing has appeared in front of them. Because we have the choice to believe everything is a blessing, but if you choose to believe everything is a problem, everything's a challenge, everything will become a problem and a challenge. Whereas person 2, as you could expect, sees that $100 and goes, my God, I'm so blessed. This is an amazing day. Everything always goes right. And that example seems so simple. Most of us would be pretty happy, but what if you were that happy about everything? What if everything was like finding $100? Your world would be pretty happy. You would feel pretty good if every moment felt like $100 dropped in front of you. And that's person 2's life. Person 2 chooses everything to be a blessing. Everything goes right for person 2. Whether you think it's a beautiful moment or whether you just think it's another everyday moment. It's just driving your car, getting cut off. Person 2 lives a joyful life, whereas person 1 chooses to live a life of misery and suffering. And so, mirror principle number 1, we need to watch our internal because everything we feel internally and believe will simply reflect externally. And so, that is mirror principle number 1. Let's go on to mirror principle number 2. So, mirror principle number 2, reflection is formed in the unity of heart and mind. We cannot change our external through our internal unless we are aligned in the heart and mind and have unity. And to explain this, let me show you a little bit of a drawing here. And so, the heart can feel the winds of outer intention. What do I mean by that? Essentially, your heart feels your intuition. In some way, you know what you are drawn towards, you know what pulls you, and you know what is best for you. A lot of us, when we imagine who we want to be, have a clear idea of exactly what sort of job we might want to be working, what we kind of want our life to look like. Even if they're just dreams, we have something that we are pulled towards. See now, the heart can feel that. The heart feels the wind of outer intention. Outer intention is just pulling you towards what you see in your future that you want. But the mind is what controls whether we're actually going to use that wind of outer intention to get what we want. See, if you can manage your mind, manage your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings, which will then make you want to take action towards your goals, you will start to change your external reality. But if your mind does not work aligned with your heart, and there is a divide in between them, you will not achieve anything. You will find it extremely hard, and this is where a lot of mental health issues come from, is people know exactly what they're drawn towards. People know what they should be doing. People know what is best for their life. Today, I knew when I woke up, there was something I knew I needed to do. I knew I needed to film this video. But if my mind was not in the right place, if I did not have thoughts and beliefs that made me take the action to go ahead and do it, nothing would have gotten done. And so the heart is essentially telling us what direction the wind is blowing, but we need to focus and have our mind aligned so that it sets the sails. If the wind is blowing east and your mind sets the sails towards east, you're going to start to blow in the direction towards the destination that you want to get to. You'll begin making progress. Whereas, if the mind sees that the wind is blowing east, tells the heart, man, you gotta go that way. But the mind's like, no, I know I want to go west. West is really cool right now. I promise you, if we go west, I think we'll enjoy it a lot better. That's where you fall into these short-term loops of depression, these short-term chasing of pleasure that ends up not rewarding you in the long term, because your heart is trying to tell you. Your heart knows what you should be doing. It knows you should be exercising. It knows you should be eating better. It knows you should be doing the work. It knows you need to go do that thing. You should talk to that person, whatever it needs to be. But your mind always doesn't let you do that. Even though you feel like you have the motivation, you feel like you have the drive, you wake up and your mind just doesn't work with you. Until you master your mindset and are able to align your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with your heart's intuition, you will not be able to raise your sails. But eventually, over time, through practice, you will master your mind and your sails will raise in the direction they need to so that you begin making progress. And this is just the reality of it. You cannot create anything externally until you master your mind and are actually able to control your internal state. Because so many of us have had those days to where we know we have work we need to get done. We know we should be productive. We know how good it's going to feel if we got the task done, and yet we still don't do it because for some reason, our mind just tells us we don't need to. It makes excuses. It tells us every reason why we shouldn't do it right now, even though we know deep down in our heart that we should do it. And so, once we align these two, once our heart's intuition and our ideals for our future and what we want to achieve align with our mindset, our thoughts about what we're going to do day to day, our beliefs about the world, we will then change the action we are taking. But if this is not aligned, nothing will get done. And so that is mirror principle number 2. Let's go into mirror principle number 3. Mirror principle number 3, there is a delay in the reaction of the mirror. Delay essentially just meaning that whenever we are trying to manifest anything or bring it externally through changing our internal, there is going to be a delay before it is reflected. If there was an instant feedback loop, everybody would have already changed to having the best beliefs. But we must understand that there is this delay in the reaction of the mirror and giving it to us externally. And so, how do we know how long that delay is going to be? Well, the delay is simply equal to the difference of change. Depending on how big the change is, that is going to determine how long the delay is. Very simple, makes a lot of sense. If you're trying to turn $1 into $100, for example, that might not take a whole lot of time. It might take a bit, but it's not a huge scale. But say you have $1 and you want to turn that to $1,000. Well, you can see the time takes a lot longer. And if you're trying to turn $1, say, to $1 million, well, that's going to be pretty far off. We have to understand that when we are trying to bring change, it is not always going to come to us instantly. We're not always going to see the immediate reward, and we sometimes need to have some patience and faith that it will come. This faith is the real test of whether you are willing to make the internal change to see the external world that you want. Because if you got it all instantly, you would have already changed your internal state. If you knew having those better beliefs of person number 2 would have made yourself, so much better, have such a better life, have the dreams that you wanted, you would have changed because you would have seen the instant reward. The problem is when people don't see the delay, when they don't understand that there has to be a delay, and they don't know how long it's going to take, they like to give up early, they like to quit, and then they don't stick it out, and they don't understand why they continue to live this same feedback loop, even though they will not make permanent change. All we need to do is understand that this initial difference of change is all we really need to make it over. Once you make those lasting changes, you truly master your mindset and you work on yourself, in 6 to 12 months, you will absolutely transform your life. But if you're not willing to wait through that delay that is simply maybe 1 or 2% of your entire life, you will continue to live the same feedback loop. And so we need to understand that there will be a delay and that the mirror does not work instantly. So let's move on to mirror principle number 4. So principle number 4, the mirror cites the content of the relationship, but ignores the orientation. Essentially what this means is when we are managing our mindset, our internal thoughts, and our beliefs, the mirror, or AKA what the universe manifests externally, does not care about the orientation of our thoughts and beliefs. It only cares about the content. It doesn't matter how you orientate your thoughts. If they are mainly focused on something negative or moving away from what you do not want, it will give you exactly what you do not want. Whereas as long as you focus on the content being what you do want, and the orientation matches that, AKA we're moving towards I am abundant, I do have this, I am whatever, we will then get that. Now this is a little bit tricky, but I have a good example for you guys here. Essentially what I just broke down. See, this is belief number 1. I do not worry about money. Now you might think this is a good belief, but it actually is not. See, the orientation is I do not. AKA, we're just saying, I don't worry about money. Why wouldn't that be a good belief? Well, the mirror does not care about the mirror does not care about the orientation. It doesn't care that you wrote I do not. It cares about that you put worry about money. That is the content. See, the content is what will give us externally. It's what we will manifest. And so if your content is focused on what you do not want, that is exactly what you will get. Whereas if we change this to I am financially abundant, the content is now focused on being financially abundant. Or orientation matches it as well. I am financially abundant. Now it matches. See, worry about money is what we were going to get if we focus on I do not worry about money. Again, because that's where our mind is focused. Whereas if we focus our mind on what we do want and not on what we do not want, we will then get what we do want. And so we need to be extremely careful. When you are choosing the new beliefs you want to hold, the new thoughts you are going to have, make sure that they're focused on what you do want. If you ever write any out and you're like, I do not want to be afraid, let's change that to I am brave and resilient. I easily overcome challenges instead of I do not worry about problems. Again, do not focus on what you do not want, focus on what you do want and frame it in a way that is empowering so that the mirror will then reflect exactly what you want and you will not get what you do not want. And so, pretty basic, but let's move on to principle number 5. And so mirror principle number 5, switch your attention from the reflection to the image. Now this one kind of loops back to what we started with. No matter how much we try and change the external, it will not matter until we change the image. If you continue to focus on the reflection, you're going to get demotivated and you're going to wonder why it feels like everything you were trying to do is not working. But we must understand and we must remember all of the previous principles. There's going to be a delay. If you're focused on judging your results based off of the reflection, you're going to get demotivated and you're going to give up early because you do not see the reward. You do not see the rewards of the change. Whereas if you simply just focus on the image, we continue to work on the inputs. See, we cannot control the outcome. We can control our inputs, which will then give us the outcome. If we just have faith that the outcome will come and we stop looking at it, understand that it will come with time, the reflection will change. I promise you, if you make change internally, you will see it externally, but you can't keep looking at it. If you continue to look at yourself in the mirror every day, say I go to the gym every day, and I know I'm putting in the work, I know I'm eating healthy, I focus on my image. I'm focusing on the image, aka the inputs I can do. My eating, my showing up to the gym, my doing the work. But when I get home, my first week after going to the gym, I'm like, it hasn't worked. Let me give up. you would tell that person, are you crazy? Go back. Continue putting in the inputs. Continue focusing on doing what you have control over and stop worrying about seeing the results. Because when you're focused on seeing the results, you don't actually focus on the image. You're worried about getting the outcome, and when you get the outcome, you're going to stop working for it. And so, when you can stay input focused and not results focused, we then continuously work on ourselves and we will see massive progress over everyone else who is reflection focused. See, now if I continued in the gym for a year, and instead of looking at myself and wondering when I'm gonna be shredded with abs and have my beach body ready, and I knew that if I continued putting in the work, I would improve my physique, I'm going to far outpace the person who simply just focused on seeing themselves look good in the mirror. I'm focused on seeing the person that I want to see internally, finding myself and doing the actions I know I need to take. And so, do not focus on the outcome, focus on the inputs, aka the image, and creating the person you want to see internally. And I guarantee when you create that person and you continuously work on yourself in time, as long as you can wait for the delay, you will see the reflection that you want to see. And so, let's dive in to mirror principle number 6. So mirror principle number 6, release your grip and allow yourself to move with the flow of events. See, when you're trying to control and take hold of everything that is happening to reach your desired external reality and to manifest what you want, you may end up stopping events that need to occur so that you can get where you need to go. Like we talked about in the past few principles, we need to have faith that things will work as long as we focus on our inputs and we are willing to delay our gratification and understand there's going to be that delay. See, if you are focused on holding a tight grip on everything around you, on controlling every single event and needing to know everything that's going to happen, you are going to resist creating that external world that we want. See, when we're focusing on the internal, we need to flow with the events that occur around us. We need to essentially surrender. Surrender and understand that everything that is happening is just going to happen and we are going to flow with it. See, when we are working on ourselves internally, the universe will work to give us that external reality that we want. It will work to give us everything we want to manifest. But if you feel like you know the exact plan that needs to happen to get that external event, you are disrupting the external flow, which is going to stop everything you want from manifesting. See, we talked about this. You can't move the mirror. You can't try and form it in some certain way and think that you can control it and that if it isn't going your way, you can just find a new one or change it. Guys, we already understand this. We have faith. We trust in the fact that what we are trying to bring into our life will come to us. But if you have control, if you feel like you need to know the perfect plan, you are disrupting the flow of events. Events will flow perfectly. I guarantee they will, in ways that you cannot imagine. See, we cannot connect the dots until we are already in the future looking back. And so do not try and control everything that is trying to happen and simply flow with the events. Trust that things are happening as they should and continue to work on yourself internally, and I guarantee you will flow towards the external reality that you want so much quicker than if you tried to control everything that was going on. And so let's dive into the final mirror principle number 7. And so mirror principle number 7 and the final principle, embrace any reflection as positive. Essentially, be person number 2. When we hold the belief that everything that is happening for a reason and it's all going perfectly as planned, we then flow so much better and then embrace a positive outlook on life. See, we have to realize that everything is truly happening for a reason. You need to have faith that everything is going exactly as planned, so you will guide your way. And so mirror principle number 7, and the final principle, probably the most basic one, embrace any reflection as positive. Pretty simple. Anything that is going on externally, anything that is happening around you, regardless of whether you initially think it's perfectly as planned, you should believe so. You should be person 2. See, when you start embracing everything as positive and start believing that everything is happening exactly as it should, it all starts going that way. See, whatever we believe internally, like we've learned today, will happen externally. So if you hold the belief that in anything that is happening, anything externally, is meant to happen for a good reason. That the universe, that God, that whoever you want to say, has had this happen so that you can be exactly where you need to be down the line. We develop a strong level of faith, and we have a much more positive outlook on life. Imagine if everything that happened around you, just like person 2, you viewed as a blessing. You viewed as just as it should be. Because if you continue to operate as person number 1, you will continue to live a life of suffering and feeling as though everything is a challenge and a problem. You have the choice to live in fear or the choice to live with faith. And I promise you, living with faith will feel so much better, so much more freeing, and so much lighter than if you continue to live a life of suffering because you continue to resist everything that is happening and resist everything external to you and view it as negative. And so, those are the 7 mirror principles. If you take notes on these and apply these, I guarantee you will transform your life. And again, guys, remember, focus on the internal and the external will come on its own as long as you trust that it will. And so, as a final note, make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. I really do appreciate it if you made it all the way to the end today. I also have a gift for you. I have a free community if you want to learn more from me, more lessons like this. Click the link in the description down below and you can join on in with other Mind Compass members who are learning how to transform their lives. If you also enjoyed, make sure to watch another one of my videos. I'm going to pop some up here. And I hope you truly did enjoy. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. God bless.